Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Maldita Castilla EX, a home console version of Maldita Castilla, which released a few years ago for PC and as well as Ouya. The original PC game was a massive homage to the Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts series. At least I assume it is. It plays just like those classic games, and it's also difficult like those classic games. It's such a great homage. I actually did a Let's Play of it a few years ago, back in, I think, 2014. This new EX version, which we're playing on the Xbox One, and I think as of recording this, it's slated to come out to Steam on PC as well as PS4. But currently, I think it's only available on Xbox One. And that's what we're playing it on right now. So this EX version of Maldita Castilla actually features a bunch of extra levels, and some of the existing levels actually have some variations and slight subtle changes to them. I'd say about the first half of the game is almost identical to the original, minus a couple of item placements. But then they insert some brand new levels, 2 brand new levels, I believe, with some brand new bosses. And then the levels after that also have some adjustments made to them. So if you're really familiar with the original one, I still highly recommend checking out this game, even if you've already played the original. The original Maldita Castilla on PC as well as Ouya was completely free. It was a free download. This new version I think costs I think it's $15, but it's totally worth it if you're into the old Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts style games. And I highly recommend checking this game out. So what we're gonna do, and let me actually preface this with, this is not going to be a, all secrets guide type of Let's Play. We're gonna play the game. We're gonna get 5 of the items that we need to actually get to the real final boss, and then just beat the game normally. What's one of the cool things about Maldita Castilla is that you've got all these secret goals and achievements you can go for to get like the ultimate best ending, which I've never done before. So this is not going to be a Let's Play showing you where every single little secret is to get the ultimate best ending, or whatever the hell they call it. I actually got some downvotes on my original Maldita Castilla Let's Play, and I think it's because of that. I wrote on the title that we were going to get the best ending, and in reality, we got a good ending, but not the best ending. So what we're going to go for is just the good ending. There's multiple endings in the game. There's bad endings, there's good endings, and then I'm going to assume there's this ultimate great ending if you actually manage to do everything. On the Xbox One version of the game, you've got quite a few different options to pick from. You can go into, 4x3 mode, you can have borders, you can have scan lines interlaced, basically. We're going to just do widescreen so it's nice and crisp on the YouTube video. And you can change your controls, and you can also implement a speedrun timer. So if you want to try to quote-unquote speedrun the game without using a computerized timer on your PC as you play, you can have a timer in the game, which is pretty cool. So we're going to disable that, and let's go ahead and exit out and just get right into the game. And we're going to start a brand new game. This Let's Play, assuming we don't die too many times, and it's quite possible we will die quite a few times. I will try to play it as smoothly as I can, but I don't make any guarantees to professional, amazing play or anything like that. You guys know me. I try to play it the best I can, but, it's a little tough talking and playing at the same time with these difficult games. But assuming we don't die too much, it should take maybe an hour and a quarter to beat the game. Maybe about 75 minutes, hopefully a little bit less than that. It'll probably take us over an hour to beat this game. It's a pretty lengthy game, and you have to beat it in one sitting. Actually, it's not entirely true. I think you can continue, so if you quit and then come back in, if you hit the continue option, I think you might be able to pick up where you left off. But when I play this game, I always play in one sitting from start to finish, and that's what I intend on doing for this Let's Play. So you've got treasure chests. The treasure chest can give you a variety of different items. The little gold pickups, those are just point icons, basically. But these right here, these are weapon icons. And you've got an axe, you've got... I'm not even really sure if I should demonstrate them all. We'll demonstrate a couple. So you've got these this holy fire right here, which is actually very powerful, but it's not my favorite weapon, mainly because it's kind of short range. I prefer weapons that go all the way across the screen. So for the first level or two, I'll experiment with a couple of different weapons, but then we're going to be switching over to what's called the Bolas. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right, probably not. And these weapons sort of like, you'll see, I'm not even going to try to describe it. You'll just see what they're like when I get the weapon. But yeah, this weapon right here is actually really powerful. And we just picked up a shield, and the shield goes in your secondary item slot. And the secondary items are just kind of like items that are always in use. So what the shield does, it basically gives you an extra hit. So if you look in the top left-hand portion of the screen, you've got 3 hearts. And then the X3 by it actually denotes how many lives you have. So those are your hearts and your lives. So you can actually take 3 hits prior to dying. Or I should say 3 hits will kill you. But with the shield, you can actually take a 4th hit. So I like the shield. It's a good power-up, and if you're playing this game for the very first time, I do recommend playing with the shield. We actually just got a ×2 multiplier for loot. So any like little items and goodies you pick up, you know, money and trinkets and whatever, the ×2 will double those values. So if you're trying to play for score, you want to know where your ×2 multipliers are. The ×2 multiplier is actually brand new to this EX edition, so it's one of the additions to the game. This flower here gives you a blue fairy. The blue fairy kind of enhances your offensive power. The blue fairy shoots these little projectiles, these blue projectiles, and I'm taking a lot of hits. Normally I don't take really any hits on this first level, but I'm trying to explain stuff here. This is an increase of time. Always want to pick those up because this game is stingy on time, especially when you are trying to get all the secrets and special items and so forth to get the best ending. This crown right here, that's an extra life, so you always want to pick those up. Alright, so back to another weapon switch. What we're going to do is we're going to switch over to the axe. Let's do the hand axe for a little while. It's kind of like the the bomb we just had, where it doesn't go all the way across the screen, but you can at least fire multiples at once. Now there's one thing we need to do in this game as we play, and there are these secret items called Mora's Tears, and this is the first one right here. There's 5 of them throughout the course of the game, and in order to get to the actual final boss, you have to collect all 5 tears, which will take you basically to hell. So you've got a boss, Mora is her name, and she can technically be the final boss. If you don't get all the Mora's Tears, the game ends after that point, and you get what you could consider to be the bad ending. It's a pretty cool ending, but it's still the bad ending. And so the first several times I played this game, I had no idea that I was supposed to get Mora's Tears, and the game would always end after fighting Mora. But no, you're supposed to get 5 Mora's Tears, and after you defeat Mora, which you should see later on in the game, you get taken to hell, basically, and then you could fight Lucifer himself. And Lucifer is actually a boss rush. It's multiple boss fights, or multiple forms of the boss fight. And it's a good final boss. It's difficult. A lot of the game is difficult. But what's really cool about this game is very much like the original Ghouls and Ghosts arcade game. Less so Ghosts and Goblins, and less so, the Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins sequels. Like, basically the second in the Ghosts and Goblins line, which was Ghouls and Ghosts. Maldita Castilla is very controllable, like Ghouls and Ghosts is. Like, it seems really hard when you first play it, but no, the more you learn the patterns and so forth, the more you get used to the enemies and stage layouts and whatnot. It's a lot easier to actually progress through the game, and you could do it very consistently when you get good at it, which I'm pretty much at that point. Again, because I'm talking and playing, I might lose focus, and that'll definitely, act as a detriment to me in this playthrough. But for the most part, you should be able to see that, like exactly what I'm talking about, And once you know what you're doing, you can just tear right through this game, and it shouldn't really give you too many issues. Now, trying to get all the secret items, all the secret places and whatnot to get the true best ending, that's a different story altogether. That's quite difficult, and in some cases you've just got to be perfect with your execution. Even getting all 5 Morris tiers requires really good execution as well, because there's one part in particular where if you die with a key that will open up a door to give you a Morris tier, you'll lose your key and the checkpoint will start you past where the key is, and so you won't actually be able to open the door to get the Morris tier. So even getting all 5 Morris tiers requires some decent execution as well. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck, forced getting the bad ending. Now, if I happen to mess up and I don't get all 5 Morris tiers, then whatever. We'll get the bad ending. That'll be the Let's Play. But my goal is to get all 5 Morris tiers. Again, we've got one to get the best ending. So this axe we're using, it's a pretty solid weapon. I like how it arcs. You know, that's always very useful in these platformers. My favorite weapon, though, again, is the Bolas, and we should be able to pick one of those up shortly. I'm probably not going to show you guys the other weapons, just because. So I just picked up this pair of boots. It actually enables the double jump, which is another new feature in this game. Unfortunately, you can only use the double jump when you've got the boots. I actually kind of wish that there was... this is the Bolas right here. So as you can see, it goes mostly all the way across the screen. And it actually sort of like wiggles and waves up and down, which is nice. So you don't have to be quite as accurate with it. And the big benefit to the Bolas is that they go through objects sometimes. Certain objects, like these right here, these windmills, they don't go through those. But many other hard objects they do go through, which is extremely useful. But yeah, what I was going to say is, you know, you've got this new double jump mechanic in here only when you have the boots. And what I kind of wish they did with this version of the game was making the double jump a permanent feature. So, you know, you can already shoot up and down just like in the original Ghouls and Ghosts. Or just like in Ghouls and Ghosts. But what would have been awesome is if you could also double jump permanently, just like you could in Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It would be like a combination of Ghouls and Ghosts and Super Ghouls and Ghosts, where in Super Ghouls and Ghosts you couldn't shoot up and down, but you could double jump. And same with Ghouls and Ghosts. You could shoot up and down, but you couldn't double jump. And it would have been really cool if they just combined the two, which would have been really, really nice. Or at least giving you like an extra gameplay mode where, like, say all like the special items were in play or something like that. I think that would have been really cool. But I think having the permanent double jump would have been awesome, personally. So this is our second boss here. Whoa! I haven't died to this guy in a while. So you don't want to get hit, because if you fall down, you die. And that was kind of crappy. I was definitely not expecting to die like that. It's going to be a little bit trickier not having the Bolas, because now I have to actually be accurate with this weapon. And I'm not actually even making contact. The axe is actually a really good weapon on this guy. For some reason, it just like completely demolishes him. He just seems to have a phobia of axes. So if you get here with the axe, it's probably the best weapon to use against this guy. But I don't usually focus too much on having a very specific weapon on certain bosses. The final boss, I do find my stock sword or dagger is the most useful. But for the most of the game, I just prefer to have the Bolas, because it requires me to be less accurate. Again, it kind of like waves across the screen. And here's the bonus stage. You want to just hit these guys to shoot vertically, and they drop some goodies. You can try to pick them up, but what I care about is getting the extra lives. Is if you hit enough, they drop an extra life, and there's the extra life. I just got it. The reason I care about extra lives is you actually get penalized for continuing too often. Death, I think, at the end of the game will come and steal your soul if you continue too many times. So even if you get to the end of the game and you get all 5 Morris tiers and you defeat Lucifer, you could still technically get a bad ending. Death will come by and take away your soul. And so it's Maldita Castilla is a really fun game in that regard, with all the multiple endings and so forth. It's just such a cool game, and I mean, for one, it's a great homage to classic arcade games of yore, but it also implements some nice extra features like the multiple endings and so forth. It's just a lot of fun. Alright, so this part's going to be a little more difficult than I anticipated because I died. And, yeah. See, with the ball ace, I'd be able to shoot through this flooring and kill this guy from above. So what I'm going to do is just skip him completely. There's really no point in trying to defeat him. I don't think that's a weapon down below, so I'm just going to skip it. And it's not a Morris tier either, so I really have no need to actually go down there. But when you're playing for score and things like that, it's good to try to get every treasure chest, kill every enemy. I mean, we're not really playing for score right now, but I do like to try to play for score when I play this game. I think it's pretty fun. So let's go ahead and pick up another set of the bolas? I have no idea. There we go. Now I have to be careful on this part. I only have 2 hearts left. And you can actually find it to be really easy to die on this part, and you'll see exactly what I mean in just a few moments. The Blue Fairy's a nice power-up. On this playthrough, I'm probably going to be using the Blue Fairy more often. Typically what I do is I get the ×2 multiplier. Because when I play this game, I do like to try to play for my highest score possible. So if I have like a really good run and I've had the ×2 multiplier most of my run, you know, I'll just naturally come out of the whole thing with one of my higher scores I've ever gotten. So, but this is the part that's a little tricky. Trying to get through this without taking damage is tough. And so we need to go to the left here. Actually, what we need to do, we're going to go to the right first. Because there is some health over here. And if I die, then we'll just have to do the section over. So these knights, you knock them down, and the second you walk past them to the right, they revive. And on the second hit, they actually die for good. So a lot of the enemies in this game are just fully controllable like that. So if I knock those guys down and I just stay to the left, they won't come back, period. And that, yep, extra time. Alright, we're going to fall down here, and... Are we going to fight the mini-boss first? I forget. I guess we'll find out. Yes. No, we don't. Okay, good. Alright, so we actually needed that gray key for this part. I'm going to shoot those guys. Again, the bolas, they go through certain objects, so I could shoot through that door, which normally I wouldn't be able to. And there we go. That's our second Mora's tier. So 2 out of 5. And so you can kind of see why I like the bolas. I can just like hide behind objects. Like I wouldn't normally be able to shoot through that. This little bit of grating. Now you can't shoot through everything, but you can shoot through walls that you normally wouldn't be able to. And it just makes life a lot easier. Now I like to take my time on this part and try to pick these guys off one by one. You can see that their bones just spread out in a bit of a spread pattern. But the pattern is the same every time, and so you just want to position yourself properly. So this is the Manticore. This is one of our bosses. What you want to do is just bait him in and keep attacking him, obviously. And you want to wait for him to do a full lunge. When he does the full lunge, you can just run straight underneath him like that. And just get back to the other side of the screen, just rinse and repeat. Again, the game's very, very controllable. And there's some meat. So meat in this game, much like, say, a Castlevania game, will give you health. There's little plates of meat that, you know, have like these little, you know, drumsticks or whatever. And those will only give you 1 heart back. But the others will give you either 2 or 3 hearts. Well, I should just say 2, because you're going to always have at least 1 heart. Your final heart. So let's go ahead and pick up this shield. So as you can see with the bolas, you can just you know, just kind of be lazy with your attacking. They wave up and down. And so even though it looks like you might not normally be able to hit some enemies like these, the bolus will allow you to, because they, you know, they wave up and down, which is nice. If I had my sword still, my stock weapon, I'd have to be perfectly accurate with every shot. And we're gonna just skip that little goblet. Not a big deal. I want to get to this boss without running out of time, honestly, so... And when I'm... Whoa, that's close. I need to actually take it relatively slow here, though. This part is actually pretty tricky. This part gave me some trouble. You're gonna see fire coming out of the floor and the ceiling. Just like that. And you just need to take your time here. The flooring below you will start to sort of like turn translucent or transparent, and it'll start falling through the floor. However, what's actually really interesting here is even though it's blinking, you can still walk on it. Whereas in a lot of old games, when objects like that would blink, you would just fall through them. But it's not how it actually works in this game, which is actually really good to know. Alright, so the reason I picked up the blue fairies for this boss is so I'd have a little more offensive ability against this boss. This is one of the harder bosses for me to fight consistently well. So he's doing his dagger pattern. You can literally just duck below if you're in the middle of the screen. So he goes up, you know, up the screen, and then when he comes down, he turns gold-ish. And that's when you can do damage to him. When he's in his silver form, you cannot do damage. So having the blue fairy is actually really good because, you know, she does a couple extra hits for me. And thus will allow me to take this guy out faster. Alright, this should do it. And when we kill him, more fire is going to drop from the ceiling. So now you gotta watch out for the fire. The last time I played this, I actually made the mistake of just taking my hands off the controller, and I had 1 hit point left, and a little piece of fire came down and hit me and killed me, even though I had already killed the boss. So you have to be really careful in this game. Alright, so we're still on levels that were in the original Maldita Castilla. I kind of look at this game as being more like a Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo to the Super Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, you know? It's got most of the original assets, but it has some new features. So whereas like Super Street Fighter 2 had new characters, this has some new levels. And it mixes up, it takes some of the old levels and changes up some features in those as well. In terms of the old levels, most of the changes are just in relation to item placement for, say, your hidden items. But the forest level we're going to go to later on does have a couple of other differences with, like, different types of enemies and so forth, which is pretty cool. So these things, you can only hurt them when they open up, when their mouths open. You can really skip them if you want to. They're not really that threatening. They just throw out these little bugs. So if you're just trying to rush through the game, you can literally just skip through most of them. And this part can be tricky. This is very reminiscent of one of the levels in Ghouls and Ghosts, where you're hopping between platforms. Although in Ghouls and Ghosts, on the level I'm thinking of, you're up in the air. But still, it's basically the same kind of mechanic. We're going to skip that treasure chest because it's just weapons, and I've already got the weapon that I want. We're just going to fall straight down. When you try to fall straight off a platform in this game, that was dumb of me to do. When you try to fall straight off a platform in this game, you literally don't go straight down. You actually sort of fall off the edge at an arc. So it's not quite like the Ghouls and Ghosts games. Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts. Ghosts and Goblins was the first game in that franchise, and then Ghouls and Ghosts was the sequel. So for anybody that's new to that franchise, when you hear me say Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts, I'm actually talking about the exact same franchise. Ghouls and Ghosts was the sequel name for Ghosts and Goblins. Alright, back to the bolus. And then there was Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Super Nintendo, which was console exclusive. It was not an arcade game. And actually, come to think of it, there were only 2 arcade Ghosts and Goblins games, like, in the original Ghosts and Goblins, you know, lineage. I think there might have been some other games that had, well, I don't know. I know there was a console exclusive game in Japan for the Ghosts and Goblins series that was like a puzzle game. It was almost like the Incredible Machine meets Ghosts and Goblins, if that makes any sense. It's on the Japanese Saturn, it might be on the Japanese PS1 as well. I don't know if that was originally an arcade game. It might have been, but I'm not sure. If anybody knows, post a comment below and let me know. But yeah, there was a 3rd game of the franchise on the Super Nintendo, and then there was a 4th game of the franchise on the Wonder Swan. We're going to skip that crystal, because the crystal here is for one of the secret items you need for the uber best ending, and we're not going for that, so I don't really care. I'm gonna just take the shield, so hopefully I don't die. But yeah, there was a 4th Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts game on the Wonder Swan. I think it was called like Makai Mira for Wonder Swan, and that was actually a brand new game. A lot of people don't know that. They think it was just a port of the original Ghosts and Goblins, and it was not. It was actually a brand new game, and it wasn't bad either. And then there was a 5th game of the franchise for the PSP, Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins. I'm trying to think if there were any others in the franchise, like core games in the series. I know there was the spin-off games. Again, there was that puzzle game for the Saturn and PS1, or I assume PS1. It was definitely on Saturn. But yeah, it's all a part of the same franchise. Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts, they're both a part of the same series. They're direct sequels, they have the same characters. You know, you always play as Knight Arthur. Oops. And that's why having the shield is good. Alright, so what I want to do is not hit these blocks right now. And we're gonna watch out for this guy. The reason I don't want to hit those blocks is because I need to come up here. Oh, jeez, I have to kill myself. God damn it. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Alright, just kill me. So the reason I have to kill myself is because there's no way to get back up there. There's, like, this bone structure that falls, and it doesn't respawn on its own, unfortunately. And, the reason we have to go up there is because there's a Morris tier. So that whole little, you know, spiel about Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts, that was more or less just because I was just getting sidetracked, but also, for those of you younger folks out there that don't know about that franchise, I think it directly influenced Maldita Castilla, and if you like what you see here, I highly recommend checking the Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts games. They're just classics, total classics. They're very difficult games. They were arcade games originally. Or at least the first 2 were. And then the others were difficult, I think, just, you know, staying in line with the franchise by that point. Super Ghouls and Ghosts is a very challenging game as well, and that was Super Nintendo exclusive. And even the Wonder Swan game was quite tough as well. Alright, so this is the part. I always seem to die here, and I think it's because there's enemies. Yeah, there was an enemy right there, that's why. Alright, so the reason I didn't want to destroy these blocks at first was because I'd had no way of getting to that chain. But I wanted to come back and hit them again because there's a shield in there. And so what we have to do is we have to come back here, just fall down here. And one of the secrets is going here to the left. You need the crystal ball to do this. But we don't have it because I intentionally skipped it. And I wouldn't have had it anyway because I died. But that is where one of the secrets is. And we're just going to try to not get hit, and so we can just keep moving on. So this little guy that was helping you out, it turns out he's actually trying to kill you. And so you need to kill him really fast. Otherwise, the ceiling falls into you, and I think you die instantly when you touch the spikes. And then this takes us to our second part of this fight. I prefer to sit over here and hit these guys just like this. Left and then up, and then left and then up. You can probably do the same thing from the left-hand side of the screen, but I just find it easier to do it from the right for some odd reason. If you're bouncing around the screen, I find it a lot harder to control the pattern. And you can actually get really overwhelmed by these souls that come after you. And then you've got this one big guardian soul, as they call it, which is the boss. It's okay, we took a hit. We had the shield. That's why I picked the shield. So I'd have a little more leeway with this boss. Now, there really doesn't seem to be much rhythm or rhyme to where this guy comes out and spawns, so... And you kind of want to stay away, because his projectiles, they just wave around in these really big wave patterns, and it's very easy to get hit by them. Now, you do have to be cognizant of your time. We've only got 20 seconds left. And if you run out of time before your little emblem appears, after you've beaten the boss, you will die. So it's one of those games where it can be strict on the time. All right, it's another bonus stage. I think I think there might be 3 bonus stages in the game. Alright, got the extra life, that's good. So we're actually making pretty good progress. I haven't died that many times, which is good. I think I've died twice so far. So this is our first brand new level in Maldita Castilla EX. And so if you're a fan of the original game, if you're familiar with the original game, I still really recommend checking out this new updated version. Partially because of these new levels. I think even if you're already really familiar with the original game, EX will still offer quite a bit of unique gameplay that you're not already familiar with. And at first I was like, wasn't sure if I was going to buy this game, and then I thought about it for a second. I was like, you know what? These guys gave me a free kick-ass game. So I'm going to go ahead and give them my money. And if you're a fan of the original Maldita Castilla, it's another reason to invest in this game, is you're kind of like donating to the developers, because like Local Molito just puts out all these free games, doesn't charge any money for them, and they're really good games too. It's not junk. Like, it's legit stuff that could be sold in a store. Like, it's really high quality material, especially for us classic retro game fans. So that was enough for me to actually buy this game when it came out. It actually came out over the summer in 2016, here in North America anyway, when I got it on my Xbox One. And it was totally worth it, totally worth it. Even though I'd already played the hell out of the original Maldita Castilla, thanks to the Ouya and PC releases. It was great going back to the game and playing through it again, and experiencing all the new stuff that it had, which is really cool. So these guys shoot bones out of their mouths, and you need to wait for the bones to go off the screen before they open their mouths again. You can only damage them when their mouths are open and their eyes are open. Very similar, actually, to some stone enemies you can fight in Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts. So this key is actually necessary, and I still have no idea how to get through those 2 harpoons without taking damage. So this key is not necessary for like a Morris tier, but it is necessary to actually get through this section, because there's basically a locked door. Alright, got some added time. Now this part you gotta be careful about. Oh. Your timing's gotta be just right on this part, otherwise you'll get hit on the way around. And okay, good. New checkpoint. This is a boss fight. A lot of bosses in this game, which is really cool. And obviously there's new bosses. Trying to take my time on this one because I've got no health. And that does it. Alright, and another checkpoint. On bosses in this game, you always start right back at the boss when you die. So, if you've got a preferred weapon to use on a boss, you better have it and beat the boss in your first try. Otherwise, you're going to have to do the boss over, and you're going to have your stock sword weapon again. Which the stock sword, just like the lance in Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts, is a very good weapon. It's not a bad weapon, so you know, don't feel too ashamed when you lose it if you die, or if you lose another weapon when you die. But it is something to be aware of when you're playing this game. In the old Ghosts and Goblins games, the checkpoints were a little more harsh. So you'd have to go through like half the level again after you died in those games, which made them more challenging. You had to be much better at the games. You can get away a little bit with like cheesing through some of the bosses. Like if you die at a boss and you start with full health and you can literally just tank your way through the boss. I actually did that on one of the later bosses in this game. We might even do it on this playthrough. So this guy right here, you need to kill ASAP. Because there's actually a wall you can get caught against at the end of this hallway. So my goal is to try to take this guy out as quickly as possible while obviously avoiding projectiles and enemies. This is actually one of those... Ooh. You can't touch him at all, unfortunately. But this actually works out because I've got the sword, and the sword I think is actually better for this part. I like it when I kill these skeletons in this game as well, because they actually make the same sound effect as some sounds in the first Castlevania. When you're hitting the bone pillars in the first Castlevania, it makes that exact same sound, which is really cool. So a little bit of you know, nostalgia there for me, hearing that sound effect. Alright, so again, another new section. And there's not really an actual boss on this part. You just go up, you find a lot of these treasure chests, you hit a lot of treasure chests. You get whatever goodies they have. Some of them just have these souls that pop out, nothing special. Now this part you can either tank, or you can try to dodge this guy's axe. He basically throws his big-ass axe at you after he gives you this spiel. And so I actually jumped over that. That wasn't a part of, like, you know, a scripted scene or anything like that. So you can either get hit by it and die if you have no health, or you can, you know, jump over it and not take damage. Okay, so we're on to our second new level. And this is where one of the Morris Tears is. So one of the locations for the Morris Tears in the original game was changed, and it was put on this level. So You know, if you're looking for the Morris tier on one of the earlier stages in the game, it's not going to be there because it's going to be on this level. Alright, I'm going to skip the ×2. I'm not trying to go for a mega high score right now. Again, I mainly care about survival and not really continuing. It would be nice if we could do this as a 1-credit clear. That's always nice to do on a Let's Play. Getting some 1CCs in these Let's Plays. So, these bubbles are a little tricky. They keep splitting out into these smaller bubbles. They ricochet at 45-degree angles. Cool. Got my ideal weapon. I haven't showed you guys the other weapons, and I'm probably not going to, because, you know, from here on out, the game is a little more difficult, and I just want to use every advantage in the book. So, again, the bolus weapons, they go through walls, as you can see, so that definitely helps a lot. I don't have to be as accurate with my attacks. I can kill these guys from down below, which I wouldn't be able to do with any other weapon. So it just definitely makes life easier. If you're going to play this game for the first time, I recommend playing with this weapon. It requires you to be less accurate. You gotta watch out for these frogs. They jump up and they shoot these balls at you. And you gotta watch out for the bats too, because they drop these cauldrons, I guess. Flaming cauldrons. Now I do have to still be careful though, because, you know, if I fall into that water, I do die. And that treasure chest up there is very important to get our next Morris tier. Alright, so we got the key. Of course, it doesn't really matter too much if I die here, because I can do this whole section over and over again. Or over again. And, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and kill myself. I really want to get all 5 Morris tiers so you guys can actually see Lucifer at the end. If I don't, then you guys, you know, the game's gonna end prematurely. The game's gonna end about 20 minutes early. Not 20 minutes early, maybe like 15 minutes early. And I didn't really have anything of need. I had the key, and I can just get the key again. So I just want to make sure I've got enough health on the next section. And the big problem is, these guys just like run straight at you. And you have really no way of hurting them directly on. So you have to jump over them and either shoot down or shoot behind you. And so when I first got to this section, I took a bunch of unnecessary hits. So we'll go ahead and... Actually, you know what? I'll switch over to a different weapon just to show you. So, this is a good one. I actually do like the sickle. It's very fast, and it comes back to you. So when I actually first played Maldita Castilla, this was my go-to weapon because it's so quick. But then I got used to using the bolus, and it's just that's proven to be so much better because again it goes through walls for the most part. Yeah, it was a good thing I killed myself because I've actually gotten here before with 1 piece of health and died, and then wasn't able to get the Morris tier. Because the checkpoint is right here. It's on this section. So I'm past the point of being able to get the silver key again. And so, you know, this is one of those sections where you've got to do it just right. Otherwise you can get screwed and you're forced to get the bad ending. I mean, getting the bad ending is not a bad thing necessarily, because Maldita Castilla is not a super short game for the kind of game it is. You know, a lot of games like these were a little less than an hour. Maldita Castilla, even a really good run, will still take you over an hour to get through. Not everybody wants to sit through this kind of game for an hour. So by getting the bad ending, not getting all the Mora's Tears, you can actually end the game probably around the 45 or 50 minute mark. Now, this version of the game is obviously longer than the original Maldita Castilla, because this has new levels that aren't in the original game. And the existing levels are pretty much the exact same length in this game compared to the original. So all the levels that were in the original game that are still in this game, and they're all in this game, are pretty much the exact same length. So you basically take the length of the original Maldita Castilla and, you know, then add the length for the new levels on top of that. So there is going to be a power-up here that gives us double jump, and I might take advantage of that. Yeah, why not? Let's take advantage of it. Oops. Let's go ahead and switch back over to... Yeah, we'll switch back over to this. Why not? Alright, so this guy, what I want to do, this is another brand new boss. I want to focus on one arm. And he basically just alternates between his two arms coming down at you. When his hearts get really low, he starts grabbing down much, much faster. And so to kind of like control that, it's good to just try to take out one arm. Just like that. Now we can just focus on one arm. And even when this arm speeds up, it's not going to be nearly as difficult to deal with. And he's almost dead. He's going to start smacking down real fast now. So just kind of like this, he just keeps going back and forth. And when you've got both arms still, it's a lot harder to deal with. And we're about to run out of time too. But it looks like we're good. I think we might be going to another bonus stage after this. Yep, interlude, green prelude. Alright, so our third bonus stage, let's get another extra life. Oh my god, we didn't get an extra life. That was really bad. I don't really ever not get an extra life when I play those bonus stages, so... Alright, so this was an old level from the original Maldita Castilla. However, there's some of these new, like, flower, troll, witch, enemy things, whatever you want to call them. I'm not exactly sure what they are. Also, just like in the very first Maldita Castilla, this is pretty much the only level in the game where you've got to go a very specific route in order to actually progress through the level. But just like in the first Maldita Castilla, this is also where one of the Mora's Tears is. However, the actual location for it within this same level is different than it was in the original Maldita Castilla. And we're just gonna... Oh, actually, I'm not gonna be able to get it. And we're just gonna skip these guys. I don't really care. Lots of treasure chests and so forth. Don't really need them. So these things are a bit of a pain to deal with, unfortunately. And, pretty sure you have to go the bottom route. Yep, there we go. So that chest directly above me is a key. And I need that key. Let's hope it actually stayed. It did. Okay, good. And so then from here I need to take the top route. Otherwise it ends up just looping the same sections over and over again, which can get frustrating after a while. Get some free points. And so this is actually where the new Morris tier location is. You have to hold down here to make this appear. And then that's it. You just shoot that, you get Morris tier. That's all 5 Morris tiers, so we'll be able to go to Hell, we'll be able to get to Lucifer. And I always forget which way I need to go here. We'll try the bottom way. I think that was the... might have been the right way. Yep, that was the right way. Alright, so boss time. Now, 2 of your comrades have been possessed. Which is actually kind of creepy. And it's perfect for October 2016 as we're doing this Let's Play. The holes in where his eyes used to be and whatnot. Oh, I had a feeling we were gonna die. I was focusing on that plant flower thing. But not a big deal. Although we're definitely down in lives, unfortunately, so... And I don't have my weapon that I like. So that actually makes this boss a little bit more tricky. Alright, now a second guy is going to come out. Just gotta make sure you don't get hit by his arrows. But he goes down very, very fast. They both go down pretty quickly, actually, but the first guy is harder, because he throws his, you know, axe all the way across the screen, and it flies back. And, you know, it's not hard to control that boss fight, but you just have to be aware of what you're doing, and I wasn't really paying attention. Again, the whole talking and playing aspect, it can act as a detriment when playing a game like this. Because you have to be completely alert when you're playing Maldita Castilla if you're trying to play for success. But also, this is kind of at the point of the game where I start to get burnt out. The game is so long. Like, look, I'm just taking damage. Like, I don't really care. Just, you know, kill me. It doesn't really matter. I literally don't really care anymore by this point. The game is so long. And the last time I played this game, this is exactly what happened. I get to this point, and I start to get tired. Like, because I'm focusing on the screen so much. My eyes get tired. It doesn't help that I'm actually tired today. Like, I didn't get that much sleep before doing, you know, this playthrough. So, that's also acting as an issue for me right now as well. So... focus, Austin. Just focus. But yeah, this is, if you don't have all the Morris tiers, this is pretty much the last stretch of the game. One of the more difficult stretches of the game. You've got to be very patient here and very accurate with your shots. And this is a mini-boss. You need to watch out for these blobs that come down. Because they eat through these blocks, and they eat through them pretty damn quickly. So what you'll find is that actually, we're gonna go ahead and just stick with my sword, just because it goes across the screen faster. And I think it's better for this fight. And we might not actually switch over to the bolus again. We might actually just stick with this weapon for the rest of the playthrough. That was actually a mistake. I actually didn't mean to jump up the way I did there. And I actually like being on the other side of the screen when I do this fight. But as long as she's, like, farther across the screen, if she's, like, all the way across the screen, it just makes this part a lot easier. She's got these, like, this spread projectile pattern that she shoots out. And it's really hard to avoid it when she's up close, because then the bullets are more densely spaced apart. So, you know, they're not spaced as far apart when you're up close to her as they are when you're far away from her, and they've gone all the way across the screen. So as you can see, what I did is I just waited for them to spread out, and I jumped over the center projectile. And you just do that twice, and just keep hitting more as you do it. Alright, so this is pretty much the last 2 sections of the game. 3 sections of the game, actually. We have to take a boat ride, kind of like in Castlevania 2. And then we go on land. And then we have to go into Lucifer's Castle. And those are basically your 3 individual levels. I think they're all just grouped into one stage. But they're basically 3 separate sections you have to go through. Now, it's been so long since I've beaten the original Maldita Castilla, I don't even remember if this part specifically was in the original game. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and refer to my original Let's Play I did several years ago. And I think that's pretty much it. Yep, we're on to our second section now. And we got the Blue Fairy. Which is actually good for this part, because you've got a lot of little guys that constantly come out at you, and the Blue Fairy is just an extra string of projectiles, which is really nice. Oh, I didn't mean to get hit by that. That was dumb. I was actually rushing to that treasure chest because I knew it was health. It would have refilled my health completely, so... what I found in Maldita Castilla is that it's difficult to play really fast without taking hits. Like, just bolting through the levels without stopping. I find it's a lot easier to do that in the Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghouls and Ghosts, the arcade game, specifically. So I did it again, but at least I got the health. There is an extra life up top, and I'm not going to worry about it. See, and you can get really overwhelmed here as well. Alright, we're going to stick with this weapon. I don't think the bolus is going to do us a whole lot of good now. Mainly because it's slower, and with my main sword, I can at least attack faster. Especially on this boss coming up here. Wow, I still got hit. That sucks. We might end up dying. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. So with this guy, I can actually show you how to tank. Oh, that was our last life. Alright, well, we lost our score. When you continue, you lose your score. So any chance at taking out my old high score was not going to happen now. So one thing you can do with this guy, this is one of those examples where you can literally just tank, just take damage. Just like that. It can actually be a pretty tough boss fight, so that's one way to do it. If you die at the boss and you have to start over. To be honest though, as far as the whole scoring thing, I wasn't really going for a high score. As you guys saw, I was intentionally skipping a lot of like the 2x bonus multipliers. So not a big deal. And I don't think I'm gonna have to actually continue anymore because we're in the final stretch basically. And so I'm pretty sure we'll be fine. This level's not that hard. Of course, right as I say that, I take a knife to my butt. Let's go ahead and switch over to the bolus. Why not? I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, too. I've been pronouncing it wrong the entire playthrough. Because this is a Spanish-developed game, and so obviously there's a lot of Spanish words in it. And I don't speak Spanish. I live in North America. I've spoken English my entire life. That's my one and only language. I've never really learned other languages. That's not true. I did have to take German in high school. Should have taken Spanish in high school, to be honest with you. Then I'd have wider knowledge of the language. But I don't. My knowledge is pretty small. So I'm sure, and I'm 100% certain I've been pronouncing a lot of these names wrong for the entire playthrough. So for anybody out there that speaks Spanish as their primary language, I apologize for that. I don't mean to offend anybody. Don't take it the wrong way. So very much like the last levels in the original, you know, the Ghosts and Goblins series, the final level in this game acts as sort of like an amalgamation of all the other levels. So you've got enemies from the other stages that were originally bosses, and so forth. So we've got to fight the Manicore again. So you can really tell this game is paying homage to the Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts franchise. Alright, so we're actually almost there, by the way. We're almost at Lucifer himself. Now this part can be a little tricky. We do have the shield, fortunately. And I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. Alright, we're going to go ahead and take the double jump. We might end up dying here. That was a shame. I wanted that health. But again, I want to do this section without dying. Ooh, we got lucky there. Wow. Alright, we're good. We're on the final stretch. So we're going to get all our health back. We're going to get to pick the wet moon. Oh, I always forget about this part. Why do I always forget about this part? Always forget about this part. Never mind, we're not on the final stretch yet. But having the double jump actually helped us, because then we can kill that warlock dude from down below, which is actually quite useful. Maybe we can do the same for that other one. Oh yeah, having the double jump boots actually makes this part a lot easier. This section actually can be quite difficult. But with the combination of the bolus and the double jump boots, I never thought to try this on this part. I would always kill these guys from all the way across the screen, kind of like this. It's okay. Alright, we're just gonna skip that chest. We don't really need it. So now we're on the final stretch. Death comes down and basically says you're gonna die. And we're gonna switch back to our sword. And I could get the blue fairy, but I prefer to have the shield, just like that extra hit. And so now we've got these red gargoyles that are very clear homages to the red armors from the original Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts. I guess one of the things that's actually kind of nice about this game is it doesn't have a complete nuisance enemy that taunts you throughout the entire course of the game like the red armors were in the original Ghosts and Goblins. They were some of the most annoying enemies pretty much in video game history up to that point in time. Alright, now on to Lucifer himself. We need to do this within a couple of hits, so we have some life left over for the final form. The final form is super easy. This is the tough form. For one, he's a tank. He takes a ton of hits. Alright, that's that. Now a heart comes out. And this is basically the final form. I'm actually going to be curious how long this time was for this playthrough versus my last playthrough. The last time I played through the game, it was like an hour and a quarter, and I died quite a few times. I had to continue a couple times. So I'll be interested to see what this playthrough was. Oh, geez, we're running out of time. We're actually getting really close to running out of time. Dude, stop going across the screen. It's so annoying. Three, two... We're gonna die. Yeah, timeout. Jesus Christ, man. That was so annoying. She keeps flying off screen. Alright, well we should be fine this time. I don't really need any of those. We'll go ahead and do the blue fairy this time and we can kill through these guys a little bit faster. As long as I don't take any hits here on this first part, I'm okay. Okay, so much for that. So the first guy always just rolls along the ground. The second guy flies in the air just like this. And then he rolls. And then it's a combination of the two. Wow. Alright, we're gonna just kill ourselves. I don't want to go into the Lucifer fight with no health. I mean, that's just... yeah, it's hard. It's not an easy fight, so... Alright, we'll just stick with the shield this time. The blue fairy doesn't seem to do that much of a difference. I mean, she can definitely help, but I mean, as long as you're attacking really quickly with your main weapon, you're fine. So when I first got to this fight, fighting those demons in the beginning was the hardest part for me, actually. Just trying to get used to their patterns, and if you're really accurate and if you're really on point with your shots, it's not that difficult. I mean, I've gotten through that section many times without taking a single hit. But again, one of the other challenging aspects of this game is just simply its length. And again, by the time you get to this point in the game, you're just kind of like worn out. You're like, oh, I've dodged so many different patterns now by this point. So it's really something to be able to get through this game, you know, as a 1-credit clear or a no-death run especially. Definitely a impressive feat for anybody that's been able to do that. I haven't been able to do it. As you can see, there's just so much to deal with on these bosses. I mean, if this game came out back in the day as an arcade game, it would fit very well as an arcade game. I mean, it's got that same challenge. It's, you know... This is where having the bolus would probably help a little bit, because again, with its wavy nature, it in some cases might actually be easier to attack this heart. Alright, that's it. We just beat the game. Yeah, we wouldn't have won last time anyway, because time is still ticking down as this animation's going. So we were pretty much toast anyway, and you know, the last time we got to the heart. But it's all good, you know. We had to continue once, whatever. I was hoping for a 1-credit cleared, but you know, I lost my attention span partway through the campaign, which, you know, again, like I said, it's a long game, so it's easy to do that. So that didn't help. But we still did it. So this is the part where if you continued too many times, death would basically come by and take your soul. I think it's right here. Alright, so that is Maldita Castilla EX for the Xbox One. Again, as of recording this, it's only on Xbox One, but it has been announced to come out for, I believe, PlayStation 4, as well as PC once again, I think via Steam, I think. I'm not 100% certain on that, but, you know, I'm probably dating myself by saying that because, you know, it's going to eventually come out on those platforms and whatever. But this is the Xbox One version. I'm going to assume it's going to be exactly the same on other systems. It's being ported over by the same publishing studio, from what I understand. Yeah, yeah, it's a really fun game. If you don't have an Xbox One, you can still download the original PC game from Loco Malito's website, I believe. And you can play it on Windows, basically. And so you'll get much of the same experience by playing the old free computer version. But you miss out on all the brand new levels and extra content. What I recommend doing is actually playing through the original and then buying the remake, because it's fun trying to refigure out where the items are and so forth, and seeing all those changes. They're both worthwhile games on their own. But yeah, this one is totally worth the money. It's about 15 bucks on the Xbox Live Marketplace. I assume it's going to be the same price when it comes out to Steam and PS4. And it's just, if you're a fan of the classic Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts games, this is pretty much a must-play. This is pretty much right up there with those classic games. It's a very, very good game. And I highly recommend checking this game out. So, I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. Not a whole lot else to talk about. We got a good ending. Again, there is a bad ending. If you don't find all of Mora's tears, you come back to the castle and find that your king was possessed, and you get ganged up by demons and killed at the end. And it just ends on a very negative, creepy note, which is really cool. I like that the game has those things. These are your objectives you can go for. Use no continues is one of the goals as well. So, find the hidden skull, meet the Gamusin people, be kind with the sirens, invoke the Lady of the Lake, save the Amadas from flames. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff to do to get the best ending, and I haven't done that. So, but alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thanks for watching. Again, it's October 2016. We're still in the first week of October 2016 as of recording this. I've got a ton of Let's Plays lined up for this month, so stay tuned once every couple of days for a brand new upload. If you're brand new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I've got a lot of Let's Plays on here, and plenty more to come. For everybody else that's already subbed, I hope you guys enjoy the content, and thanks as usual. I'll see you guys soon.